Let's look at the source. The source of our motivations is our frame of reference, or the locus of control. These are either internal or external meta patterns, the source of motivation and judgments. You will be mostly running one or the other. In a nutshell, external people look outside for evidence, data, feedback and information to help them make decisions. Internal people look inside to make their decisions. They care more about what their own thoughts and computations are than any external inputs. People are wired differently in terms of the source of their motivation and judgments. These patterns are the primary focus for judging, evaluating and deciding responses. So the source, the frame of reference or locus of control, refers to where the source of motivation resides. Does the person find motivation from external sources or from a set of internal standards and beliefs? This is not to be confused with introversion or extroversion. Although there are parallels, an extroverted person can have an internal frame of reference, and an introverted person can have an external frame of reference. Although we all have a natural position on this spectrum, a definite presence, this can vary depending on context. So for instance, someone who prefers the internal frame of reference in terms of evaluating travel options or financial investments may not be entirely comfortable following their own judgment with regard to fashion or food. External people need other people's opinions and direction. Decision making is based on external sources and they use external standards and feedback to develop their own opinions. If they do not get this information, they don't know how well they are doing. They often take information as instructions and find it difficult to start or maintain an activity without someone else deciding or giving feedback. They are accommodating in groups and can modify their behaviour based on external feedback. They are influenced by others and will feel more comfortable doing what others have done before them or following the advice of experts. They value other people's opinions to help them make decisions. In terms of pattern recognition, a good question to ask is, how do you know when you have done a good job at something? So the external response would be, they've looked to other people or external sources for information to decide or judge for them. They need to compare their work with an external standard, a checklist or a quota. Outside information is taken as a decision or an order. So, in terms of the body language, you'll find external people leaning forward, watching for your response. Their facial expressions will be indicating that they want to know from you if it was all right. The influencing language for external preferences is you'll get good feedback. Others will notice. It has been approved by. It is well respected. You will make quite an impact. So-and-so thinks. I would strongly recommend. The facts and the figures show. Give references and give lots of feedback. Internal people provide their own motivation. They tend to rely on their own criteria, evaluations and judgments and validation for their decisions that come from within. They use their own feelings to decide that they have done a good job. They may have difficulty accepting other people's opinions, and when they receive negative feedback about a job which they believe they have done well, they may well make judgments about the person giving that feedback. They are convinced, however, when you appeal to things that they already know through their own experience. Example, only you can decide. They treat instructions as information and consequently may be quite difficult to supervise. They are self-reliant and can be cynical and stubborn. They will strongly resist outside influences unless they judge it to have a value. They seek out information and then they use their own set of criteria to help them decide how to proceed. Their criteria may be good or faulty, so even though they think they are right, they can still be mistaken. In terms of pattern recognition, you've got the question again, how do you know when you've done a good job? The internal person would say, they just know. It feels right. I decide. They resist when someone tries to tell them what is right for them. The body language for an internal person will be sitting upright, pointing to the self. They may pause before answering a judgment from someone whilst they evaluate it. Minimal gestures or facial expressions for their culture. And the influencing language for internal preferences, only you decide. You might consider. It's up to you. Try it out and decide what you think. Here's some information so you can decide. What do you think? As with other meta patterns, you can identify internals or externals by listening to what they say and watching their body language, their physiology. Internals will use a lot of I think or I believe to introduce opinions, where for externals it will be my friend thinks or experts say. Internals often point to themselves when giving an opinion or make emphatic pointing gestures to their listeners. They may also cross their arms when listening to you or clasp both hands over the back of their head. Externals tend to keep looking at their listeners to gauge their response. Knowing your own preference in terms of the source of your motivations and judgments is helpful in developing your self-awareness. So external people, let others know you need regular feedback, and internal people, listen carefully and see if someone's trying to tell you to do something. External people may frustrate internal people with checking and requests for evidence. Internal people may frustrate external people who don't provide them with enough information. Internal people can easily go missing in company while they ruminate internally on a process. They're working something out, to the extent that they effectively hold back information which could be helpful in the moment to others. External people can frustrate others with knee-jerk reactions to new information. So a good process in group situations is for external people to ask the internal people to quickly update where they are with something. That forces the internal person to unpack observations they've made and provides the external people with richer data to weigh up the arguments. Similarly, internal people can ask the external people for time out of a meeting so they can think things through and come back with their computations. So, awareness of our preferences in the source of our motivations and those of others provides the opportunity for us to get what we want from them and to defend against the inherent weaknesses of our default approach and to practice and develop techniques to reprogram ourselves as we want to. If you want to learn more about meta patterns and enjoy a profiling session with me, please contact David at worklifedevelopment.co.uk or call me in the UK on 01273 323388. I can conduct profiling for meta patterns face-to-face, via Skype, over the phone, or through a questionnaire. Thank you for watching my video.